Dear viewers, you're most welcome. Thank you for keeping tuned here at Smart 24, where we drive business. My name once again is Anthony Sebale, and I'm bringing you live events from here at Smart 24, Plot 42 Nile Avenue. I'm still with my guest, Mr. Mwima Andrew, and we are talking stocks and bonds and shares, a very interesting subject. So before we went into a break, we were talking about how people can invest and how the companies can actually get enlisted. Mm-hmm. Now we want to look at the current state of stock markets in Uganda. What, in an overview, before we look at the figures and all that, what is the current position of the Uganda Stock Exchange?
Okay. Thank you very much, Anthony. Unfortunately, when you ask about the current state of the stock exchange, you cannot leave out the numbers. You can't. But just to maybe give a hint on how we are performing currently, last week, the market registered a turnover of 2.13 billion, which was better than the 609 million turnover we had the previous week. When we speak about turnover in the market, it's the value of the shares which we had traded at the stock exchange last week. Now, in terms of volume, we had 27 million shares changing hands last week, better than the 6.7 million shares that traded the previous week. The counters that were dominant last week were Bank of Baroda, which traded in terms of value, 85% of the value I spoke about was from the Baroda counter, with the MTN accounting for 14.3%. The shares that dominated the volume, still Baroda 92%, MTN 6%. Other indicators I can speak about, a stock exchange in terms of size is measured by what we call the market capitalization. It is simply the value of the shares which are floated on the stock exchange. Now, the Ugandan market, our market as a whole, has a market capitalization of about 19 trillion. It's a big figure, but it's the value of East African breweries, KCB, Equity Bank, Stanbic Bank,
so
MTN.
in other market capitalization is like the number of shares multiplied by the unit cost of a share.
Price, the
share unit
price.
The share price.
Yes.
That gives you the total value of shares.
Yes.
Okay.
Listed. And like you've rightly put it, it changes. Like end of today will most likely be different from yesterday. So our capitalization, it's at about 19 trillion. It swings, but you can put it at 20. Okay. Then we have other interesting indicators, the all share index and the local share index. A market index simply gives you the aggregate movement of the shares which traded on the market in a given period. But for these indicators, they are down. The all share, which tracks the 18 companies listed on the exchange on average, declined by 0.035% last week compared to the previous week, while the one which looks at the local companies only appreciated very marginally at 0.05% last week. Yes, so that is where the market stands. I know it's complicated, but that is what it is.
We need to break it down because we want people to understand exactly when you talk of the index, how different is it from the exchange?
Yes.
You see, because now you're saying there's an all share index. There's also the market index.
Yes, the local.
Now,
index.
let's talk about the index itself. What is an index?
Yeah. An index in itself gives you the average movement of a basket. If you want to look at how MTN has fared last week compared to the previous week, you will look at it independently. But our market has 18 companies. So we have MTN in there, Uganda Craze, Uchumi. Now the index gives you on average okay, the aggregate movement of all the companies in that basket, which are 18 of them. That is what we call the all share index. So on average, compared to a given period, if most of these companies have appreciated in value, it will be in green. That is why some of your arrows point upwards in green.
Yes.
If on average they have declined, then it will be downwards and in red.
Yes.
So that is simply what the index is, and it's extremely important. It's like a thermometer. You put a thermometer in a human being, if it keeps appreciating, it tells you something. So the index is just a thermometer for the stock exchange as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now let's talk a little bit more about prices going up and down and price fluctuation. There is something called the PE ratio.
Yes.
Does it have something to do with prices going up and down as well?
Absolutely. The PE ratio, which is a price earnings ratio, gives you an indication on whether, to an analyst, a share is a company is overpriced or underpriced. When it's underpriced, it's a good thing for an investor, meaning that you will on average be buying a company at a low price. So it's an indication that very soon that company will appreciate in value because markets correct themselves.
Yes.
Yes.
What's the determinant of that? What determines the PE ratio?
It's the price per share, which is got from the stock exchange, divided by the earnings per share, which is derived from a company's financial performance. It could be every 6 months or end of the year. Yes. It's a figure which we pick from its financials, earnings per share. So if a company makes a profit of 200 billion shillings, you divide it by the number of shares which the company has to get the earnings per share.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, that's very interesting. Right there. So these details on the current prices and buying and selling, are they accessible in any way to layman so that people can keep following and keep track of the listed companies, how they are faring in terms of stocks?
Yeah, absolutely.
How can they access that?
They are very available. I believe one reason why we are here is also because very soon investors who watch Smart 24 TV will be able to see some of these prices aired either live or even at the end of the trading session.
Yes.
But on TV, in leading dailies, on our websites, you're able to find information on share prices. But also, if you're a registered investor, our stockbrokers share with you these updates, real-time basis.
Okay.
Like thrice during a trading session when markets are opening, midway, and when the markets are closing.
What is our time span? Like what's the day like at the stock in Uganda?
The stock market opens at 9 and closes at 9 a.m.
And closes at
1 p.m.
Oh, for only 4 hours?
Yeah, only 4 hours.
Wow.
But as we grow and become busier, it can be increased to 3 p.m., then to 5 p.m.
So as we speak, it's about to close in an hour's time?
Yeah, in about an hour's time.
Okay. Yeah. So actually, what does it mean for a stock to be open and being closed? Because some people also are confused, like, okay, now the market is closed, but when I wake up the next day, I find actually the figures are different. Things have changed. Yet you said the market was closed. You know, so what happens? What is the issues of open and close? And what are the implications?
Yeah, I think it's just because of the size of our market. In fact, those days the market would be open for 1 hour. 1 hour, 10 to 11, when there was no activity.
There's no activity, yes.
But now that the number of investors is growing, then we are also seeing registering an increase in the number of deals. We shall increase on the trading hours. It's just because it's a justification that comes from the activity and interest.
Yes.
So as all these things start growing, the trading hours will also be increasing with time.
Yes.
Now, when we speak about market open, all markets, even London, New York, Johannesburg, they have a time at which they start. Yeah, and they have a time at which they close. If you're very keen, I believe you show this on your screen.
Yes.
The time when Hong Kong is open, London is closed.
Closing,
the
yes,
time
exactly.
maybe France, the Paris Euronext is open. The Germans may be also opening, but markets in Japan are closing because of day and night, these schedules. So that is simply what it is. So an investor in London and maybe Hong Kong, Australia, may know that at this time the Ugandan market is open, then he knows what time to send his money to a broker in order to to buy for him. So those are the simple basics.
And as well, what is why do figures change even when the market is closed? I thought when they close the market, we are done. The business is closing for now. And now, but you wake up the next day, actually things have changed. The prices have either gone up or down. Are there some transactions that occur after the market is closed?
Very interesting question, Anthony. The reason why some of those things happen, like I mentioned, 8 of the 18 listed companies are from Kenya in Uganda. The market in Kenya closes at 3. Ours closes at 1. Now when the market closes in Kenya, we reprice the price of those cross-listed companies. That explains why you will notice that change. Maybe when we are running the news on some TV channels which report business news in the night, or even when you visit our website early morning and notice those changes. So we reprice, we get the price of KCB, Equity Bank.
So these other cross-listed companies actually are still trading, right?
Yes, when ours are closed. Yeah, but for you, we have to reprice them, factor in the exchange rate, and give you the accurate figure.
The next day.
Yes.
Oh, interesting.
Other than that, just like any market, forces of demand and supply are the ones which cause prices to change, to move upwards and downwards.
Now, there's been something very interesting in Kenya happening. Due to the drought of IPOs in Kenya, the government has decided to go electronic. And also, part of the plan to increase the IPOs in the country, they are planning to do an African stock exchange, where they agglomerate different stock exchanges. The Egyptian Stock Exchange, the West African Stock Exchange, it's called the BRVM, and all these want to come together to form a 7 conglomeration, like to have a one stock exchange, and where people can actually go and trade all over Africa. Has Uganda Security Exchange thought about this? Because I didn't see that on the list, and I think it is something we should be looking out for if we are to grow our stock exchange. Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Anthony. Rightly put, I think it's just a matter of time. These are initiatives that are going to happen, certainly. Just the way those days the integration of our countries seemed to be impossible, but as we speak, the East African community has even actually grown.
With DRC.
And to that effect, there are discussions which are currently ongoing, and even the associated frameworks to first integrate our regional stock exchanges. Tanzania, Uganda, Rwanda, Burundi. Then eventually, out of that integration, I believe once the traction has been set, we might be joining those broader African exchanges with time. These are not decisions that happen overnight because there are so many implications. But these are things that are absolutely going to happen in the coming future, because even the Europeans, I believe as we speak, most of their exchanges are integrated. And that remark you also gave of the electronic IPO module in Kenya to maybe make the process of going public easy, is something we are also working on, such that we see more listings on our stock exchange.
Yes.
And all these are purely aimed at driving activity. If we have more people participating, maybe 300 million people participating, the markets get busier and the exchanges grow, economies grow, more jobs come in place, more companies can access capital. So they are good initiatives.
Yes.
Yes.
Well, but before I let you go, Mr. Mwima, now we've talked about the stocks, we've talked about the benefits, the risks involved in the stocks, and the current stock market updates. What is a lay Ugandan required of to start trading on the stock exchange? The basics that are required.
The basics, the number one basic you need, whether you're an institution or an individual, you have to register. Registration simply means acquire an SCD account. It's technical, but get a trading account. You cannot invest without it. The requirements for a circle and a company are different from those of an individual. But for an individual,
there's also an option of a circle.
Yes.
Like these women who save together and they can save as a group. Investment clubs.
Yes.
Okay. But it's an individual.
Yes. All you need is, as an individual, is a photo and a national ID. Only that. Then you complete a form. But like I mentioned, if you have a number registered in your name, MTN specifically, you go to *165 hash. There is a section for financial services. Open an SCD account. Then you get the broker. But many times, it's also good to have that human interaction.
Yes.
So you can give us a call, send us an email, or even call me. We help you with that form, you fill it, we assist you to get the broker. Then you start your journey from there. It's as simple as that. Even for the circles and investment clubs, basic requirements, a constitution, memorandum and articles, and the resolution, IDs of the people who will be trading on behalf of the companies. So with those, we register you, you get your SCD account, then you're able to start investing.
Also, are there options for people who are not Ugandans but live in Uganda?
Yes.
How do they go about that registration?
Those, we need a passport.
Okay.
We need a passport in order to register you.
Okay.
Yes.
And where can they find you in case they need that, like you said, one-on-one, and also maybe the advice, to get advice from you? Where can they find you?
Our offices are at the Nakawa Business Park on Block A, 4th floor.
Block A?
4th floor.
4th floor, okay.
Yeah, that is where our offices are, as the USE. Alternatively, if you send an email to info@use.or.ug, we can get back to you and assist you to start this journey with ease.
Well, that's quite interesting. I think people out there from this show, they can now start actually thinking wider.
Yes.
Instead of putting money in that small box and putting it under the bed. People still do these things. People still go and put money under the bed, under the pillow. And people still go in their gardens and dig and put this money. But I think this way of investment is a way to go, really.
Absolutely.
And people, if they start opening their eyes and save and start making money from their savings, that would be very interesting.
Absolutely.
Yes. So thank you very much, Mr. Mwima.
Welcome.
We are really glad to have you. Any parting shots before you go, advice to the people out there?
Thank you, Anthony, and we are extremely grateful to the Smart24 TV for hosting us. It's something we don't take for granted, but a wise man once said, many times when you listen to something, give it a lot of thought and maybe put it in practice. Many times when you listen to ideas like this, with as little as 10,000, 5,000, I can actually invest in a certain asset, you're better off giving it a try. Other than listening, you keep listening, but you fear to take that step. Even for the businessman out there, we have told you you can access some capital. Give it, take the next step. Visit us, make those inquiries. You never know. Your life can be transformed. Yes, thank you very much. And I hope to be here again.
Yes, thank you very much, Mr. Mwima. Dear viewers, you've heard it all from the man himself, Mr. Mwima Andrew from Uganda Security Exchange. Now, we're going to be having a series of these interviews with such experts for you to keep updated on the stocks in Uganda. And we have not had a discussion on, for example, the bonds and the treasury bills. Probably next time we are going to go deeper into this, so that you also know other options of investment. They have quite a number of products. There's also something called the collective investment scheme and so on. So if you want to get all this information first hand and first line here at Smart 24 TV. So we're going to go for a very short break. When we return, we come with the Capital Market Investment Authority, that authority that regulates USE. How does it operate, and what are the roles it plays in investment? Thank you very much. We'll be right back.